Good afternoon. My name is Martin Kimani. I'm Kenya's permanent representative to the UN, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to have this stakeout on the briefing we're just about to hear on Colombia. The reason for the stakeout is that Kenya is nearing the end of its term on the Security Council, and the conflict situation in Colombia has been one of our closest priorities in terms of the attention and the priority that we have given it. We want to, of course, in the first place, congratulate His Excellency Gustavo Petro and Vice President Marquez for their electoral victory and the extent to which their administration has prioritized the implementation of the final peace agreement. When Kenya joined the Council in January of last year, one of our priorities was to speak out on behalf of Africa and its peoples. To do so required, in our interpretation, to speak for the African diaspora as it is defined by the African Union, and that includes all people of African descent throughout the world, including in Colombia. For that reason, we took a special interest in the status and situation of Afro-Colombians, their economic, political, and security well-being, and we raised these issues in the Council. We're very happy as a delegation that the Security Council was positive and responsive to our raising awareness on the importance of inclusion as a criteria for the protection of peace and security. Today, the specific issues that will point to that commitment when it comes to Colombia is on the implementation of the ethnic chapter. That ethnic chapter is a cross-cutting measure within the final peace agreement, and we believe that it is indicative of the stage of commitment and goodwill in Colombia. As an African delegation, we have our own experiences with conflicts that are based on exclusion, and we believe that the inclusion of Afro-Colombians and indigenous communities is key to the sustained peace of Colombia. We're proud to have raised this flag in the Security Council. We're even prouder and happier about the response by the Colombian delegation reflecting the policies of President Petro to prioritize the implementation of the final peace agreement and specifically to ensure that the ethnic chapter and its implementation are accelerated. We wish Colombia the very best in the years to come, not only in maintaining its peace, but continuing to be a shining example globally about how to resolve a protracted conflict in an inclusive, legal, and dynamic fashion. Thank you.
What kind of concrete actions would you like to see from the new Colombian government so they help and support that process of creating a peace-building process that is more inclusive and that helps, in particular, the interests of the Afro-Colombian communities? What do you think it should be done? What would you like to see?
Well, the A3, the African three, namely Gabon, Ghana, and Kenya, are going to be making a statement in a few minutes in the Council. And that statement will articulate the different expectations that we have and the recommendations that we have. We have to begin by first celebrating where Colombia is today. I think Colombia has a lot to be proud of, and I think this new administration is going to take the peace agreement to a different level. We have the idea that it is going to be very important going forward to have solid targets, measurable advances, both in the FPA and even outside the FPA in terms of the inclusiveness and empowerment of those who are most vulnerable. And of course, for those, we have to include the Afro-Colombians and the indigenous communities. To put a fine point to it, the fate of Afro-Colombians is itself indicative of the level of inclusivity. in Colombia. And that is not just in Colombia, but globally. It is just that we have the opportunity to push this point of inclusivity today.
Ambassador, do you believe, you mentioned that this administration has accelerated the inclusion part, and the ethnicity part is what is going to be touched today. Do you believe that it will be a possibility to be a work a little bit more closely with those communities that maybe were not as represented in the past? And we're talking about Afro-Colombians that are part of that peace process document that it was presented a few weeks ago here at the council, where they talked about, you know, the disparities, the issues they have faced, social leaders that had been killed in the past. That's one. And the second, do you see your country and the other members going to Colombia and try to meet with those communities? The Security Council has visited Colombia in the past, but do you think that this presents an opportunity to now open the door and go and visit those communities that maybe so far had not been as visualized?
Well, thank you for the question. We would certainly hope for a Security Council trip to Colombia, but I do not think there's one planned while we're still in the Council. In terms of the agenda going forward, what is so clear is that the election of Vice President Marquez, the kind of senior appointments of Afro-Colombians and indigenous Colombians that this government has pursued are really an indication of a determination by this administration to move forward. So for us, it's not for us to need to directly speak to Colombian communities. We believe that the Colombian government is well in place and is doing a good job as it is. We would welcome any chance to visit Colombia. Who wouldn't? And I think what we're hoping for is that the next 4 years offer a global template about how to move a peace process along by leaving no one behind. Thank you very much.
Thank you.